Radar shows Santa's on his way. We'll check his weather at 10.
When it's time to party on New Year's Eve, where will Dick Norris be? What about Ruth Todd, Bruce Lindsay, Nadine Wimmer, and Shelley Osterloh? The news specialists will all cover First Night, Utah's biggest New Year's celebration ever. So if you can't be there, you can still catch all the excitement and fun. Watch special reports throughout the day and exclusive continuous coverage from 10:30 till the new millennium. There's never been a night like First Night 2000 on KSL-5. Tonight on Eyewitness News at 10.
Find out how an emergency landing out at Salt Lake International Airport affected today's busy holiday travel.
Plus, reaction to tonight's interview with LDS President Gordon B. Hinckley on Larry King Live. Join us at 10.
On New Year's Eve, Eyewitness News makes you an eyewitness to the millennium. Throughout the day, KSL-5 has live coverage of New Year's events from across Utah and around the world. See what happens as Y2K arrives first in distant lands and watch Utah's last-minute preparations. Then, that night, Eyewitness News takes you to Utah's biggest first night celebration of all time. On New Year's Eve, the station that has it all is KSL-5.
Season's greetings from everyone at KSL.
You are watching KSL-5. This is Eyewitness News Special Edition.
Good evening, everybody, and Merry Christmas. I'm Ruth Todd. We will be returning to It's a Wonderful Life in its entirety in just a few minutes. But first, we want to bring you a quick update on the evening's news. TV talk show host Larry King spent the evening in the Salt Lake Tabernacle. He was interviewing some of the world's top religious leaders for his show Larry King Live. His guests included Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the Reverend Robert Schuller, and LDS President Gordon B. Hinckley. Religion specialist Carol Makita was there earlier tonight.
The theme of this Larry King Live was Christianity and where it has come in 2,000 years. LDS Church President Gordon B. Hinckley called it the greatest success story in the world and said that people of different denominations can come together.
We must recognize that all our men and women are sons and daughters of God. If they're sons and daughters, they're brothers and sisters. We're all of one great family, the family of God. And we must learn to get along one with another and respect one another.
Besides President Hinckley here in the Salt Lake Tabernacle, Larry King visited with Archbishop Desmond Tutu from the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and the Reverend Robert Schuller in Bethlehem.
People are hearing everybody else's opinions, and so I think the age of being able to indoctrinate people is finished, and we're in an age of communicating with each other. And that is an amazing, miraculous new discovery.
And that there is a greater measure of understanding that our faiths are not the same, and yet they are different ways of moving and discovering the transcendent, that God is a great deal larger than all of our faiths.
All three religious leaders agreed that television has made faith more accessible. Carol Makita, Eyewitness News, Salt Lake City.
President Hinckley also said during this last century, the LDS Church has grown from one that was little recognized to one whose members have respect worldwide. Well, some Christmas Eve travelers had a bit of a scare today. A Delta Airlines passenger plane landed safely this afternoon after losing a tire during takeoff. News specialist John Daly was there when the plane landed and joins us now live. What happened, John?
You know, Ruth, no one was hurt in today's emergency landing, but it was certainly not the way that you want to spend your Christmas Eve. The plane's 127 holiday travelers and 5 crew members were bound for Detroit. The jet lost one tire from its landing gear on the right side of the plane during takeoff here in Salt Lake. The plane was airborne for an hour to burn fuel before doing a flyby of the airport tower to make sure the second tire on the right side was in fact intact. Airport fire and emergency crews and fire engines from the Salt Lake City Fire Department lined the runway as a precaution. The plane touched down at about 4:35 p.m., landing on the remaining wheel on the right side. One passenger says most folks on board were pretty calm, not a lot of panic.
I was hoping that I could come down and actually ride down one of those slides that come down, but it didn't happen, so I was kind of bummed about that.
Airport officials say had both wheels fallen off, it could have been pretty serious. Delta crews are still investigating the cause of the mishap. Most passengers took the next flight to Detroit. Airport officials say the landing delayed traffic briefly, but flights returned to normal soon. By the way, that wayward wheel ended up bouncing 8,000 feet down the runway until it hit a fence. So disaster averted here today at the airport, Ruth.
All right, John. Glad everybody's okay. Thanks so much. 45 million people are traveling between now and New Year's. 10 million of them are flying. That means if you're flying, you could be in for quite a few delays. AAA recommends travelers arrive at least 2 hours before their airplane takes off. You may see more delays this year than in past years because many airports are on heightened security because of recent threats of terrorism. Police in Centerville are trying to prevent some pipe bombs from going off. Police say they found the 2 pipe bombs wrapped together in a drain line around 6 o'clock tonight. They say they think it may have been put there as a prank. A hijacked Indian Airlines plane has landed in southern Afghanistan. The plane carrying 189 people was hijacked today on a flight from Nepal to India. It went on to land in India, Pakistan, and then to the United Arab Emirates before winding up in Afghanistan. 25 people were released along with the body of one person who was killed. Well, a big merger between 2 Utah banks has been delayed by an accounting technicality. Zions Bancorp and First Security Bank announced its merger back in June. The SEC confirmed this week that Zions had an additional $500 million in assets than earlier reported. Accounting for the difference caused the delay, and the banks were ready to approve the merger next Tuesday. That meeting has now been put off until after the first of the year. We'll be right back with a check on your Christmas weather and It's a Wonderful Life.
Of Canada around Hudson Bay and from there on southward, Santa may have a few problems. There's a lot of clouds streaming southward and even some snow showers. Also some snow around the Great Lakes. Lake effect snows there. But look at the west. He has a clear shot all the way from the North Pole all the way down into Utah. No cloudiness to speak of whatsoever, and also a bit of a tailwind. So Santa ought to get out down here on time with no weather problems at all, except for a little bit of fog in some of the valleys in Montana and also around northern Utah in the Cache Valley. Well, let's take a look and see what the forecast looks like. For tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies statewide. Some fog again in the Cache Valley. They've had that now for the past couple of days, and cold too. Logan will be down to 6 degrees. Most of the rest of the state in the teens and 20s. Lots of clear skies. Hazy along the Wasatch Front, though. That will continue not only tomorrow but for the next several days. Most of the fog in the Cache Valley should burn off Christmas afternoon. All in all, just a quiet day, almost a repeat of what we've had today. Nice and mild in southern and central Utah. In fact, St. George, almost 60. The 5-day outlook for St. George, we do have a little bit of cloudiness that will be coming up out of the south and southeast on Sunday and Monday, but other than that, not much going on. That cloud cover will decrease, and that should be just about it. Now for the Wasatch Front. Hazy tonight as Santa arrives. It'll be also hazy tomorrow with a high temperature of 39, the low 21. And that weather pattern will continue right on through the rest of the week, or at least through the first part of the week, until Wednesday. Then the clouds increase. We may see a change along about New Year's Eve or so. Ruth?
All right, Barry, thanks so much. Here's a Christmas to remember. Several groups of Utah volunteers are headed to underdeveloped countries for the holidays to help people help themselves. When these Choice Humanitarian volunteers wake up tomorrow, they'll be close to a primitive village in Bolivia. Over the next 2 weeks, Choice Humanitarian Aid will dig a well, install a pump, and run a pipe to the village. 2 more groups are leaving tomorrow, one for Peru and the other for Guatemala. We will return you now to It's a Wonderful Life. Eyewitness News returns tomorrow night just at 10, followed by Sports Beat. And from all of us at Channel 5, have a very merry and safe Christmas. Take care. KSL's Family Now has a tradition of feeding hearts and minds.
Now we're asking you to feed families.
Hunger in Utah is growing at an alarming rate, so we're gathering food and asking you to give whatever you can. Every can counts.
Bring your non-perishable food to the Utah Food Bank or any Jiffy Lube location.
Help KSL's Family Now feed hungry Utah families for the holidays.